Hey y'all, it's Cara. Over the last several days, we've been making brand new landscaping beds off the back side of our house. I filmed the whole process for you guys, so I'm gonna put it all together in one video for you. I just came outside. It's actually raining right now, but I wanted to show you up close of the steps that we built. Ryan and I actually worked on these steps behind me here in the evening, so I didn't film it because it was dark. Here's an up-close shot of what the steps look like, which was just one part of the new landscaping beds we made, which I'll share in just a second. I actually cut out these steps from the hillside a couple years ago, and they all washed away into a slope when it rained. So we put some reinforcements in this time. I recut them, and then Ryan came through with some rebar and hammered in 2 pieces of rebar into 4x4 wooden timbers so that hopefully the dirt doesn't wash away next time. This is where the rebar is tied into the steps. It's completely flush, so no one's going to be tripping over it. This is what that little hill sloped area looked like before we put the retaining wall steps in. This is also where we placed the first landscaping bed. This is the before we're working with. I had some plastic kiddie pools here, trying to kill off the grass, and some different pieces of plywood and cardboard as we've accumulated it. But I'm ready for this to look pretty. There's quite a lot of grass growing up along the edge of the house, so I'm going to work on digging out all that first. After I dug up a lot of the grass, I went ahead and started making my edge for the new landscaping bed shape. I laid out an extension cord because I couldn't find a rope, and kind of used it as a guide to figure out exactly where I wanted the edge of the bed to be. And then I went ahead with my shovel and cut along that edge to give a nice defined look. This is the approximate shape I came up with. I did tweak it a little bit here in a few minutes, but it stays pretty much the same. Thankfully, the tractor is up and running now. If you saw the video where I was putting compost in the garden, then you may already know that the tractor was not working recently, but we were able to fix the hydraulic issue that was going on, and thankfully we did because there was a lot of dirt that needed to be moved into this new area. Before Ryan started bringing the compost over, which is actually a 50% compost, 50% topsoil blend, I laid out all the cardboard we had. We've been collecting cardboard, and I got a little bit of free cardboard from some local stores, and we put out the cardboard underneath to kill off any grass that may be left. And then this also just kind of acts as a nice little weed barrier until I can get things nice and established. The compost topsoil blend, we're trying to do a couple inches thick on top of the cardboard because this area next to the house in particular is a little bit extra rocky because when they were backfilling the house for the construction, we did have a lot of rock added in to the backfill for the house. And it's not the best dirt right here next to the house. There's no topsoil to speak of. So I definitely think the plants will appreciate having this really good, rich blend. I'm really thankful to have Ryan's help running the tractor today. It definitely makes things go a lot quicker. He can just keep dumping buckets and buckets of compost dirt, and I can spend my time raking it and spreading it out where it needs to go. It goes a lot faster when you have a team effort involved and you can just work together. And thankfully today was a really nice day too. We've had a lot of wet, rainy weather lately, which I'm not complaining about. The grass is starting to green up, but it does make things a little bit difficult when you're trying to spread dirt around or drive a tractor through your yard. The tractor did make a few ruts through the yard, as you can kind of see on frame, but thankfully they weren't too bad. And it's definitely worth it for not having to wheelbarrow all this dirt over. I'm really excited for this spring. As soon as our last frost hits, I am going to be going full force planting this area and creating exactly what I want in this space. I've had all winter to sketch it out on some paper and figure out exactly what plants I want to put here. I'm very excited to see the space finally come together. It's been quite an eyesore for the last couple years, but no longer will it be one. It's going to be filled with beautiful flowers here before I know it. If you'd like to follow along with our channel and see exactly what we're going to be planting in this space this coming spring, then subscribe and hit the notification bell. That looks like a little bell to give you notifications whenever we post new videos, because I know sometimes it doesn't always pop up the video. You have to search our name and you may miss out on the new videos that we release. So by making sure that those notifications are turned on, you will make sure you don't miss any of the videos in the future. Beside these retaining wall steps, that's just kind of what we've been calling them, I've decided to make another landscaping bed. I want the steps to feel almost like kind of part of the garden bed, like a little secret garden. I plan on interplanting things amongst them, but I'll save that for another video. But the main purpose I'm trying to get at is that I want the steps to feel incorporated into the garden space, not just a part of the yard. I didn't want it to be steps, then grass. Plus, we have kind of a little bit of a steep slope where you see Ryan laying this cardboard down at, and it was a little hard to mow right here as well. So by having a landscaped bed, it'll make that process a lot easier because we won't have to mow or weed eat the steep part of the slope. And while Ryan and I really do genuinely enjoy to use the riding lawnmower, we don't necessarily enjoy weed eating. That's something that's always kind of been my least favorite chore outside. And the less weed eating we have to do in the garden and around the house, the better. Ryan went ahead and just brought over some compost and topsoil and spread it out. He was having a little bit of a hard time. The wind was trying to pick up these cardboard boxes and blow them away. That's why you see the shovel and the big block here on top of the cardboard. The shovel did get buried there for a second, but don't worry, it didn't stay buried. I'm sure we would have found it eventually, even if it did. While we are putting a lot of dirt down on these new landscaping beds, there is still even more dirt left in the big pile that we ordered. And we have a fun project that we are going to be showing you guys here soon in a future video, so stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, look at these cute flowers that my kids picked. Thank you! We've added a little more compost to this bed. It definitely needed a little extra. It was pretty rocky. I did put some compost in this bed originally when I did my raised bed garden compost top up, but it needed even more, and rather than continuing to wheelbarrow it over, I decided just to wait till the tractor was fixed. I added maybe, I don't know, an inch or two on top of what I already did the other day. I tried to shovel it the best I could around the plants so that I wasn't smushing anything or getting anything buried too deep. Our lavender hedge does look like it's getting smushed by the tractor bucket in this video clip, but I promise you it's not. The tractor bucket is elevated off the ground just a little bit. See, as the tractor pulls away, you can tell that the lavender is just fine. I loved having the lavender border this landscaping bed. It smelled so good this summer, and it even still smells wonderful in the wintertime. Even though there's no flowers on it, the plants still smell great. These roses are dormant right now, but hopefully they'll enjoy this compost later this summer. Moving over to the other side, we've got the compost pretty much spread where I want it. I need to come in and rake it out a little better and get everything even. These new steps that are right here, I kind of wanted to tie it into the garden, so we added another little bed on the other side. Here, let me step back a little bit and show you more of an overview of what the bed looks like. Everything is not 100% finished, but it's getting there. There are some hyacinth bulbs coming up right here. These are purple and blue hyacinths with some white that are planted all in this area. I was trying to make the swoop from the first raised bed I made into this next raised bed continuous and follow along the same line. Next, though, I am going to add a little bit of a retaining wall here along this edge. I've been gathering rocks from around the property to put along this retaining wall stair situation, and I don't know exactly how many I'm going to need. I have a couple different bluestone and granite chunks that I've found here and there. We have kind of a rock pile going that whenever we pick up a rock in the yard or the field, we kind of chuck it into this rock pile. And I know there's a few more over there, so we'll see how many we need to make this how I want it to look. My goal is to have this be kind of a free-form rock little wall here going down the edge. I would like to plant some different plants that will crawl and creep over the rocks, and eventually you won't even be able to see the rocks fully. At least that's what I have in mind. I just want it to be something that will give the dirt a little bit of a ledge, that it won't just spill over into the steps. Hopefully it'll work. We'll find out. Some of these rocks are quite heavy and large. There's definitely a balance between trying to find ones that are large for this project and yet finding ones that I could lift myself. I could probably wait for Ryan. That would probably be the smart thing to do, but I just wanted to get after it. Definitely gonna need a lot more bigger rocks. I want kind of a larger rock look. This bigger piece of bluestone and the one there at the top of the hill, I would prefer all the rocks to be about that size or bigger, but I'm gonna take what we have so I don't have to buy anything. I'll just keep my eye open around the property. This might be kind of a slow process and it won't happen overnight because I'm just gonna source them as I find them around the place. We'll see how long it takes to collect all the rocks to get the achieved look that I'm after. I've been toying around with the bed shape this afternoon. Originally it started a little skinnier. I've added this little lip around the edge. I want to plant some sort of tall shrub or tree here on the edge. That's why I have a hole. I thought it just needed a little more room for the size plant I'm thinking about putting in. So it's coming together. I'm still not 100% sure if I'm satisfied with the shape of the bed. I may end up making it a little more curvy around the top there. I'm gonna leave it for a couple days and I'll get Ryan's opinion after he's done working too, and we can make a decision together. Sometimes I find that if I leave it for a couple days and I come back and look at it again, I have a different opinion about it or a fresh take. So I wanna make sure it's finalized the way I like it. Here's a view from the bottom of the stairs. You can see the bottom of this bed a little better. I may end up adding rocks along this edge too. I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do with that yet. The little ends of the wood steps are exposed at the moment, so I would like some rocks there, but I don't know. Maybe I'll just end up planting something along the edge. The other project I worked on today was pruning my hydrangeas. Do you like my very accurate way of measuring things? Sometimes when you see yourself back on camera, you just can't help but laugh. I like to cut down my hydrangeas by about 1/3. Now, this isn't a hard and fast rule, but that has worked well for me in the past. This particular variety is called limelight hydrangeas. They're one of my favorite varieties. They're really beautiful. They're a pale green in the spring, and then they turn white and then a burgundy color in the fall. They're so beautiful. They're one of my favorite types of hydrangeas. I do have a few other types that I'm going to be pruning here soon. One thing to note if you have hydrangeas and you are going to be pruning them this spring is you want to make sure you know what variety of hydrangea you have. There are basically two main categories of hydrangeas. One that bloom on new wood or new growth, new shoots that come out, and ones that bloom on old wood, or the canes that have been from the previous year. Make sure you research what type you have before you just start cutting everything back by 1/3, because you may be cutting off your flowers for this year if you prune back that old wood, if you have an old wood blooming type. Limelight hydrangeas bloom on new wood, which is what I have here, which is really nice because you don't have to worry about cutting too much or cutting off branches accidentally. And also, it's nice with animals and kids because if a branch gets broken, it's no big deal. It will still bloom and produce flowers. If it was the old wood type, it would not produce flowers if the branch got broken. We are in Zone 7A here in Virginia, and you could technically prune your hydrangeas in the fall. I choose to do it in the springtime because I personally like the look of the dried flower heads. I think it gives a nice aesthetic look versus just sticks, basically. It gives you something pretty to look at through the winter time. Plus, it's a nice spring chore for when you want to be outside doing something garden related, but it's not quite time to plant yet. Here's what the final hydrangeas looked like. I do have one other hydrangea here next to our porch swings on the side of the house that does bloom on new wood as well. This is an incredible hydrangea. It produces really large white ball like flower heads. It's almost the size of a small soccer ball, which I can see is probably where they got the name from. This one here is actually one of my newest hydrangea plants, and it grew quite large last year in just a very short time. I have videos on our channel where we planted all the plants that are all around the house. If you want to go back and watch those, you can find them in a playlist on our channel. In the meantime, I'm going to finish pruning all the rest of the hydrangeas around the house, and I look forward to all of them growing this summer and spring, and follow along if you want to see them grow too. Thanks for watching today. I hope everyone has a blessed day wherever you're at. Bye, y'all.